There are 10 clear steps to becoming a property developer. And if you watch this video at the end, I'll be giving you a bonus tip as well. So if you're interested in becoming a real estate developer or anything in terms of building new houses or just doing developments or construction in general, this is something that you need to watch. Step one to be a successful real estate developer is all about investing in knowledge, because it is such a broad topic. There's a lot to it. You need to understand firstly what strategies work in different area, what business models work in the development sector. You need to understand how to find land opportunities, how to take them through to get planning and all the different legal consents that you need, how to raise finance, how to successfully buy a site, how to sell a site, how to work with investors, how to deal with pre-construction, commercial management, construction management. There's a lot of things that you need to understand, and it can be quite daunting when you think about it. But the key thing to remember is there's a ton of information out there, but there's also saying it's who, not how. What that means is building a good team around you will help you build that knowledge. And I'll do another video on exactly if I was to start again, how would I go from scratch with no knowledge and start building that kind of knowledge pot up to help me take that next step in development. So that was number one, all about building that knowledge base. Number two, to be a successful developer is all about networking. The more information you start learning and building that kind of knowledge pot up, the better it is, the better chance you have of building high quality relationships when you're going out to network. But you can't just learn yourself and then you need to build your network around you, because in this game it's all about your team. Even this business that I'm running today, which we're building over 230 homes and over 1,000 in the pipeline, it's all run by the team that run it. And that's the key thing. So you'd go out, you'd start building relationships with agents, with other developers, construction companies, supply chain, finance brokers, anybody really connected to the space, and just building as much knowledge up and those connections as possible. So if you have those two groundings, they are the foundation. And the networking is a constant thing that you'll keep doing that throughout your property development career. Keep getting those new contacts in, because that's really what opens doors. So number three is once you've built that knowledge part and you've started building your contacts, it's all about trying to get some experience, some practical understanding, and putting it all into place. And you could do that by starting through your networking, going out to site visits to meet other people, go across their sites and ask them questions. You could be asking questions and having meetings with professionals. You could even get a job to start off with, something related to property development, whether it's in the land and new homes team of an agency, whether it's in a construction company that's pivoting towards development, whether it's in a development company itself or a land promotion company. Doesn't really matter. There's a lot of different jobs out there that connect and touch the property development industry, and that practical first-hand experience is really useful. Learning off other people's mistakes before you go and make some of your own mistakes by doing your first development, because that's where most of the mistakes are going to be. It's going to be in that first development. It is the most riskiest stage really, and you need to de-risk that as much as possible. So that was number three. It's all about trying to get practical experience and building from that. Really, as you're doing that, as you keep building your knowledge and as you keep building your contacts, and once you keep getting that practical experience, you can then start defining really what you want out of that sector or the industry, to say, what type of homes do you want to be building? Are they executives? Are they social housing, affordable housing? Are you going to be building so you can retain the properties and keep a portfolio? So more of like a legacy strategy and a cash flow in one? Or do you want to just do developments purely to buy and sell and take chunks of capital and then go and take that capital and invest in different strategies like building a portfolio or alternative investments? There's several different things you can do, or you might even decide not to go down the full development route and go down towards something like a professional, more of construction management or an agent, and helping others do it, where you don't take on all that risk and the debt or exposure that comes with it, and you can still be paid a very healthy sum and actually scale a very profitable business off the back of that too. So there's lots of different considerations, and you can't really know what you want out of the sector until you do those three fundamentals, those foundations of building knowledge in as much of the sector as possible, building your network and getting as many connected people as possible, and then getting that practical experience from what everyone else is doing and just immersing yourself in the sector and seeing all the options. then you can really define what it is that you want and start building your criteria from that. The next step then, really, once you've done that, is about putting that kind of business plan into place. And that might first start off with finding investors. If you choose to go down the development route, it's very capital intensive. You're going to need quite a lot of money, but it doesn't have to be your money. You just need to be working with somebody that has capital that they're willing to put into a development project with you. And you can't get that investor without doing those fundamental foundation steps I've already outlined. But so the next step is all about finding an investment partner or finding that funding backing. And if you've got it yourself, great, but I'd still recommend you go and work with other investors and build contacts that way, because it'll add that extra string to the bow of building that experience of dealing with an investor, going through the due diligence process, listening to their concerns and being able to answer their concerns. It really refines your skill set, and it's much better than if you get buy-in from somebody else who believes in the project as you do, rather than you going to risk all of your own money to start off with first. Once you've started building your investors, and that's a continuous thing as well throughout your development project, it's all about finding the right deals to work with your criteria and your investors' criteria. So, as we've said, we've covered the foundation points. You've got your kind of informal business plan of exactly what you want to get out of the development sector, or maybe not exactly, but you know what you want to start with. And then you're starting to work with trying to find investors. Now you've got to get deals to match that. So if you can spend your time working with agents or looking online or doing offline strategies, there's lots of different ways you can get opportunities. But once you know your criteria and know what you've got funding for, it becomes so much more focused and easier in a way to get those opportunities coming through the door. And you've got to build just that process then of keeping those opportunities come through. So you're building in development, you're always building that pipeline of money, that pipeline of deals, and constantly tracking your execution and performance. That's kind of the three key overall pillars to property development. But you can't do it, again, as I've said, without doing the foundation steps first. Or you will be, but it'll be disjointed and you could waste a lot of time. Once you've done that, so from now up until this point, you would have mastered the foundations, you would have understood why you're trying to do developments in the first place, which is critical. You'd have worked with investors or got some investors on board, and you'd have found a good deal. Now you're really on that tipping point of being a fully fledged property developer, and that is now really about to secure the site. And it's all about, this next step is all about mastering pre-construction, which is that process of securing a site and dealing with planning and dealing with the pre-commercial, the pre-construction, the pre-technical elements of a project to basically get it building ready to start construction. And this is where you can make or break a project. If your appraisal's wrong, or you've not stressed it enough, or you've not spent enough time on the construction side or the drawing side, you're gonna give yourself big headaches in the construction phase. So it's all about mastering pre-construction. After that, you can then move on to delivery. And the more time and money and resource you invest in pre-construction, the easier delivery will be, and the less risky it'll be as well. So after the build stage, then you've got your exit, and really you're only a successful developer if you can successfully exit. So you can do all the other points very well, but if you can't exit your development, then you're probably going to end up going bust, without sounding dramatic about it. But you take on a significant amount of debt, significant amount of responsibilities and obligations, and there will also be personal obligations and personal guarantees involved if you go down the development route. So if you can't exit, sooner or later that will catch up with you. So that exit is critical. In our business, we forward sell everything we do, so our exit is taken care of. And if we don't forward sell, we've clearly got enough liquidity or resources to basically warrant holding it if we needed to. So if you're not in that position, then you need to consider what exit strategy is going to work. And then finally, which is the most important piece of being a successful property developer, is mastering cash flow management and financial management. It is absolutely imperative. We're dealing with significant sums, multi-million pound projects, and typically still what's classed as a low margin business, i.e., 15% gross margin on average. You target more, but on average of actual projects getting delivered, it's typically around that figure that it comes out to be. But you target 20 or 25%, but on these larger projects, so much can go wrong that typically it ends up being in the mid-teens, if and that's if it goes well. It can be worse than that. So you take on a lot of risk. Obviously, 15% of say 5 million is a lot of money. So there are big numbers involved. But to successfully navigate through that entire development process, it's all about cash flow management and financial management and being able to forecast, constantly seeing how much money have we got left to complete this project, how much funding have we got available left to draw down, do the figures match, and keeping track of that to know that you're not going to be in negative cash flow, making sure that you've built in sufficient fee structures into the development so you can personally cash flow, so you're not going to be personally out of money for an entire development process, which can take a couple of years. So these are really important considerations, and if you do that properly, you'll be able to survive in the development space until the market works with you and you can become quite successful. So they're the 10 top tips, and hopefully that's helpful.